Today we're going to go over all of the vocabulary words that we read about yesterday. And I think a really powerful way to learn new things is to draw them. And so for those of you who know me or getting to know me, I love to draw. I think it's a really wonderful way to express ourselves, yet at the same time, it's a great way to learn. So this is called a directive drawing. And what we're going to do is we're all going to draw the same thing in order to reinforce the vocabulary that we read about yesterday. So you can make like a little book. You can get a few pieces of paper and staple them together, or you can just use one of the journals that we gave you at school. So this is my ELA journal, and I'm going to use about 3 full page spreads. So we're going to start with the Highlands right now. It would help a lot. You need a pencil. I know that you got one at Fremont. And if you have any colored pencils or crayons, you are going to need brown, green, and blue in order to draw your landforms. If you have other colors, you can use those for titles and vocabulary words, but we're going to try and be as realistic as possible. If you do not have colored pencils, you don't need them. You can just draw in regular pencil. So we're going to go ahead and label. We're going to start with landforms. And we're going to start with the Highlands, like we learned about yesterday. We're going to draw kind of a cartoon type picture to depict the Highlands, and then we're going to label and talk about the definitions. We're also going to talk about some of the Highlands here in California, and specifically in Southern California, the ones that maybe you can see from Long Beach or that you visited. So we're going to start with 3 nice tall mountains. So I start with, see how I'm drawing in the middle? And I'm going to draw a really high mountain, maybe one more mountain. I'm going to give it a big scoop right here in the middle. It's a little smaller, and then I'm going to go on out. Then I'm going to do some water. Almost every page is going to look like that. These mountains, I'm going to give a little snow at the top. I know it's kind of cartoony, but we do want to remember that mountains, really high mountains, have snow. And then I'm going to draw them realistically. And so I'm going to draw the land brown. And I'm hoping you can just draw along with me. If I go too fast, you can always pause the video. So I'm going to color, and you can color as well. And so as we read about mountains yesterday, we learned that the very top of the mountain is called the peak. And I'm going to label that in just a minute. And we learned that a chain of mountains altogether is called a mountain range. And I will label that as well. So hopefully you're almost done coloring in your mountains. Okay, those are my mountains, and I'm going to label my peak up here, the very top of the mountain, and then this is a mountain range. Which is a long chain of mountains. A long chain of mountains. And one of the things I want you to think back and remember, I'm kind of wondering, do you remember what is the largest mountain range in California? The largest mountain range in California that we read about yesterday is the Sierra Nevada. And that is the largest mountain range in California. And then we also had a chance yesterday to look at the coast ranges. thought we'd go ahead and write down a couple of other ranges. We live near the San Bernardino Mountains and the San Gabriel Mountains. So the San Bernardino, sometimes that's the abbreviation for mountains, and we live near the San Gabriel. And if you've ever been to Big Bear or Lake Arrowhead, that is in the San Bernardino Mountains. So I'll just write Big Bear. If you've ever had the opportunity to go snowboarding or something up in Big Bear, or just go away for the weekend, you were in the San Bernardino Mountains. We cannot see the Sierra Nevada mountains from Long Beach, but you can certainly travel there. Who remembers the tallest mountain in California? The tallest mountain in California is Mount Whitney. It's the tallest mountain in California. We cannot see it from Long Beach. I'm going to keep coloring. I'm going to color this little guy right here. Obviously, it's not a mountain. This is a little hill. And we don't really have a lot of hills here in Long Beach. We live where it's relatively flat, but we do have one hill. Who knows what hill that is? Signal Hill. And later on, as we learn about natural resources in Long Beach, you're going to learn that they found oil on Signal Hill. I think that's really interesting. Part of the physical features are different types of plant life that we see growing in different places. So if we were in the mountains, we would have lots of like evergreen trees. Thought I'd draw some of those just here because that's part of our physical features too, are the different types of plant life that can grow. And then finally we have this flat land here is called a plain. And we'll do that when we do the lowlands. I'm just going to draw the little ocean out here, and we'll focus on that when we do bodies of water. And so your vocabulary for this page, I think I'll go back and underline it. You should know that the peak is the top of the mountain. A mountain range is a long chain of mountains. This is a hill. And I think it's important to remember Mount Whitney is the tallest mountain in California, and the Sierra Nevada is the largest mountain range in California, because that's what our book focused on. And so we are done right now with Highlands. I would like to show you, if you decided to make a book, maybe something to put on the refrigerator or hang up on a bulletin board. I made my cover a little bit fancy. And then this is my first page, just like we just drew. I made it one whole page. And now I'm going to turn the page and work on the lowlands. So if you're in your journal, just turn the page, and we're going to work on the lowlands all the way across. And you're going to draw, let's label it first, as still landforms. And these are the lowlands. We're going to draw a very similar picture to what we had before, but this time we will label all of the lowlands. And so I have 3 mountains. This one I want to be really close together. This one kind of medium. This one I'm going to give a big scoop before I draw my hill. Then I'm going to go flat, 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 and some water. I'm going to color them in a similar way. Take your time. It's difficult to learn from drawings that are messy. And this is something that you can go back and look at for your assignment on Friday. It will really help you to fill in our last thinking map. So yesterday we talked about the land that is low, the lowlands being the land between the mountains or between the hills. We talked about the plants that can grow there because as the water comes down off the sides of the mountain, as the snow melts, makes for really fertile soil, which means that a lot of plants can live there. So there we go. I have my mountains colored in. And now what I have here is the low land between these two mountains is called a valley. A valley. The low land between two mountains or hills. Two mountains or hills. Okay, and so here we have a valley, and like I said, the snow melts and the water runs down, and we have really fertile soil down here, so we'd have lots of plant life growing down here, and that's part of the physical features as well. This valley right here, it's still a valley, but it is very steep and narrow, and it is called a canyon. A steep, narrow valley. Still a valley. And so I started to think about, we don't have a lot of highlands here around Long Beach, but there are some nearby. And if you're listening to the news, to the weather, you might hear about some of these. And so one of the canyons that we have near us is Gypsum Canyon. And later on, tomorrow, I'll show you some pictures of that. A lot of the Gypsum Canyon is freeway, but there are some really beautiful parts of it as well. And then a really gorgeous canyon is Kings Canyon in Yosemite. And that would be one to really take a look at. I believe the picture is in our book. This here, this really big scoop of land, it's still a valley, but it's very wide and open. Color in my little hill again. This isn't necessarily Signal Hill, but a lot of people don't know this, but Los Angeles is in a basin. And so this is a basin. Let me move it up a little bit. A wide bowl-shaped valley. Bowl. It does look like a bowl, doesn't it? Shaped valley. And we have the Los Angeles basin. If I go too fast, pause the video and get caught up and make sure that you have all of our definitions and all of the words that you should have. One of the things that happens is that we have fog that comes in off of the Pacific Ocean, and it travels through the air, this fog off the ocean. And then we have a lot of smoke from all the cars and things like that that we have here in Southern California. So we have smoke, pollution from our cars. And as that travels along, it gets trapped in the basin. And we have what's called smog. That's not a good thing. We don't want to have smog. It's a mixture between the smoke from our cars and the pollution from our factories and the fog off the ocean. And it gets kind of trapped in that basin there, the Los Angeles basin. And we used to have a lot of problems with smog here in Los Angeles and in Southern California. Now we have a lot of laws about our cars and about factories so that we don't have as much smog. Right here we have long, flat plain. A plain is a flat, rolling stretch of land. I'll put the definition right here. Plain, a flat, rolling stretch of land. And if it's along the coast, if it's the land that touches the ocean, we have the coastal plain. And guess what? That is Long Beach. We live along the coastal plain. And once again, I'll color in the ocean, but we'll learn about that tomorrow when we draw bodies of water. And so our vocabulary for this page is canyon, valley, basin, plain, and coastal plain. And these are the words that you should know for Friday. And this drawing will help you as you fill in your thinking map on Friday.